Welcome to Fantasy Sports Today here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish along with George Kurtz as we get ready to wrap up the month of May in fantasy baseball season. More than 2 months in, just a few months to go. Hopefully carrying you to a championship. Craig Mish, George Kurtz, 2 hours every Saturday, and of course, wherever you're streaming the show as well. George, great to be back with you here as we get ready for a new month. Certainly, we're going to get into everything that happened this week in fantasy baseball and look toward the future.
Yeah, pretty much a third of the baseball season is done, right? It's flying by just like it always does here. So it's sort of your first flag mark. We talked about that last week about Memorial Day here to make your moves, figure out what you're going to do with your team here. What do you need? What are you too strong at? What can you trade away, and what do you need to acquire?
Definitely the case. And before we get to everything that happened in the week, George, let's touch real quick on what happened last night. We got the matchup of a lifetime, right, in fantasy. They said it was a World Series rematch several times, George, to your dismay, which it was between the Dodgers and the Marlins. And Dodgers and Marlins. I was at the Marlins Giants game last night. Can't get it in my head. The Dodgers and the Yankees with the Marlins World Series rematch. That'd be amazing. And it lived up to the billing. Shohei Ohtani hits 2 home runs. Aaron Judge hits a home run as well. And man, I mean, I think we're in for a great weekend here of baseball. Now, I know for you, it didn't really go the way that you wanted it, but that ball was flying out of Los Angeles. Right field porch, Trent Grisham. I was watching the game live. But yeah, in the end, the Yankees pitching couldn't hold up.
Yeah, at this point, Max Fried didn't pitch well, right? Couldn't get through a 6th inning, gave up 5 runs. That's probably the most disappointing part. If you're a Yankee fan and you wanted to win 2 out of 3, last night was a game you had to win. You had Max Fried going up against Gonsolin. It's Warren versus Knack tonight, Yamamoto versus Yarbrough tomorrow. So now, time becomes that 50-50 game, and tomorrow doesn't seem like the Yankees will do all that well. But it was a good game. Big news really comes out of that, though, is Mookie Betts, right? Has got the fractured toe. I know I have been in several leagues, so I was not happy about that. And, I start thinking ahead here. If you're in a weekly lineup league, I know they say they're not going to put him on the IL, but are you starting him on Tuesday? I mean,
No.
I don't think so either. I've already taken out of my my home league where I already took him out. Problem is, I don't have, none of us are going to have great replacements for him. I got to put Marcus Semien back in my lineup. I had him as my second baseman, obviously. So that's going to be a decision for a lot of people to make. Daily lineup, hey, he's not going to, you're worried, keep him out for a night or two. But a weekly lineup, right now, I would play it cautiously, even if they don't put him on the IL, and I would sit him.
Yeah, and not much you can do for that. It's just a matter of recovery for something like that. But stealing base is probably not in the mix. And hey, if they do put him on the injured list, maybe a faster recovery would happen. I think George makes a good point, but I guess we'll see what happens this weekend. They'll probably leak a lot more info on that. All right, let's get to some other headlines here on the show. Chris Sale trending toward 3,000 strikeouts, picks up 2,500, trending toward Hall of Fame, by the way. Pretty much, I think every player who's ever gotten 3,000 strikeouts has been in the Hall of Fame. I know George will try to keep him out as best he possibly can, but I don't think that's going to happen. The only guy I think with 3,000 not to be in the Hall of Fame, George, is who? You know who that is? 3,000? I think there's one. It's easy. There you go. There you go. Really good. Sam, is this your show? Are you the co-host of this show? You just ruined the show.
That's okay, Sam. You probably saved me. I wouldn't have gotten it. I don't think I would have gotten
Really?
it.
It's like a trick question. It's like a trick question. Bubba Chandler, Jack Caglione, still waiting to come up in AAA, and I mean, I guess at this point you just keep them down there because you probably can't win Rookie of the Year and get that extra draft pick, because I know teams are searching for that now. If you call a guy up April, May, you win the Rookie of the Year, you get a draft pick at the end of the year. It's worth it, by the way, comp pick. Big news for the Braves. Another season with these crazy injuries. A.J. Smith-Shawver, torn UCL. He was the favorite to win Rookie of the Year. He's not going to win it now. Looks like Tommy John surgery. George is on deck for him. So, we could start with basically anywhere you want here. I guess there's some people in Denver that are waiting for us to mention how bad the Rockies are. There you go. They stink. I get to actually see the Rockies in Miami next week, George. Marlins Rockies, George. This is a tough ticket right now. Very hard ticket to get.
You want to know how? Listen, I guess this is going to be making fun of both of you, of the Rockies and the Marlins. The Rockies are so bad. I'm actually going to put Alcantara in my lineup next week. Okay, and he's pitched off for most of the season, but he's going in my starting lineup because he can't be bad against the Rockies. It just can't happen. So put him in my lineup there. And like I said, if I can't, then I gotta get rid of him anyway, which I might have to do eventually. Which I can't believe I'm thinking about dropping Sandy Alcantara. Bryce Miller could be back today. I thought about doing it today when Bryce Miller returns. So we're going to get back some of our injured players. You mentioned Braves more injuries again here. When you heard that Shara said he heard the pop in his elbow or felt the pop in his elbow, I was like, oh, well, he's done, right? You knew that wasn't going to be good news there. So concerning there, Braves going to have to make some moves. Lost again last night to Boston. And it's not the pitching's fault. They can't hit with people on base either. All right, they're sort of like, several teams. They're great hitting home runs, a lot of solo shots there, but couldn't get the big hit last night against Giolito, someone they beat up last weekend.
Yeah, let's get to Jack Caglione because I think everyone's waiting for him to come up. Joe Pisapia, who hosts the Sunday show, was on with me, and we didn't really debate this, but I thought he was a little nuts for saying that. I mean, he must have it in some league. That's the way Joe is. But he was like saying that if he came up at the end of June, George, and won rookie, he could still win Rookie of the Year. And I was like, I really don't think so, man. Like, I don't think you can play a half a season and win Rookie of the Year. I don't know if there's even precedent for that. This guy is out of control. And I suppose if he was a hitter and a pitcher, which he is, then maybe I would make that claim, but he's not pitching right now. So I'm not really sure that is possible, George. I mean, he could definitely help and carry you in a fantasy league, but at the end of the day, he is a rookie too. I thought he was great at the University of Florida. He looks like the very best hitter in all of minor league baseball, but 80 games, Rookie of the Year, I don't know. That seemed pretty optimistic to me. I mean, the kid on the A's, Wilson's going to play 150 games and hit 300. I mean, I don't see it.
That's the problem. All right. Is it possible? Sure. You can have a weak year, a weak crop, and then Caglione comes in and, tears the world apart for a couple of months here. I think there actually is precedent for someone who didn't play very long here. But that being said, you named the problem for Caglione. Wilson's having a really good year. He might get some demerits for being in Sacramento with balls flying out, blah, blah, blah. But still, he's going to put up numbers. And I don't see, unless he were to go down, I don't see those numbers changing all that dramatically here. I'm not saying Wilson's a better player than Caglione. I'm sure I'd much rather have Caglione. But it sort of is what it is there. Do I think they're going to call him up shortly? I do. Do I think the fact that he plays first base and they're not weak at first base? Yeah. I think that's might be a reason why he's still down there. And they're trying to put him in the outfield now for a couple of weeks, see if they get him there. I understand that. It's going to be a rough transition, though, Greg. I mean, outfield in Kaufman, that's a big ballpark. It's not playing in right field in Yankee Stadium. If the ball's over your head, it's a home run. Who cares? Kaufman's actually, you need to be a good outfielder here. So could be an interesting transition for someone who's not an outfielder.
Bubba Chandler's another player who I think, we hit June is probably going to get called up. I think people, so much of the discussion, George, is like, oh, Super 2, and they're waiting. I mean, this stuff is George, I'm just telling you, it's just not true anymore. If a player comes up and they're great, teams value that comp pick, that first round or second round pick in Major League Baseball in a very big way. I mean, that's a player that you can have under labor control for 6 years in the first round of the Major League Baseball draft. So I think that's a bigger incentive than holding somebody down. But again, the Pirates really have no incentive to do anything at this point. They're just not a good team. And I would expect at some point we'll see Chandler, 48 innings, ERA of 2.
I hope you're right. Listen, also, if you let's just say for giggles here, the Pirates were thinking about holding Chandler down because of Super 2. What are the odds of it even mattering? I mean, he's going to be going for your team anyway, right? You're going to trade him before he hits free agency or anything like that with a couple of years left, so you get your most value. So, and you have to also hope that he is going to be great here. You're not worried about the pick, or you don't think you could win the pick here. It's just like I said. I hope it's not true, but I think with Pittsburgh, there is an element. They are a cheap organization, so I think there is an element of truth to this. I do with in regards to Chandler.
All right, fair enough. Let's take a quick timeout. We're off and running on this edition of Fantasy Sports Today. Up next, 3 up, 3 down. Who's hot, who's not? We'll have it for you next, right here on SportsGrid. Don't go away.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, insane. Basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, 3 up, 3 down here on the show. Who's hot, who's not? Let's get right to it. Start off, George, with a player we've been waiting for here a little bit. Junior Caminero, Tampa Bay Rays. I think at the end of the season, his numbers are going to be great. 345, 3 home runs, 12 runs driven in week 10. He is one of, if not the biggest stars on Tampa Bay. And, we talked about him a lot during draft season. I mean, I don't know. What would you say based on where he was drafted? Does he overperform? I think he performed probably maybe where you thought, maybe a little bit less. But I do think at the end of the year, he's going to be fantastic. And not a lot of more home games, by the way, George, for the Tampa Bay Rays. Bad weather in Florida is coming. He's going to have to play on the road. I think like 70% of the games now from here on out.
That's an interesting question you asked, though. Where, as far as his draft is saying, he's got 11 home runs, 32 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, batting .252. Runs, where's runs here? 26. So he's probably the powers. I think is where you wanted it. Right, he's on pace for 30 home runs. Average probably a little. You wanted higher than that. Probably more of a 270, 280 range. Bases aren't really helping you. Runs really aren't doing all that much. So I would say he's underperformed the hype right now, right? Because Junior Caminero is the big thing there. Right, yeah. I'd say underperformed here. But that being said,
I agree.
He's only going to get better, right? I think by the end of the year, he's going to do what you expected him to do. And hey, Jacob Wilson comes back to the pack a little bit, and he hits 272 at the end of the year with 31 bombs and 90 ribbies. He'll have a lot of pub for the rookie of the year because he was supposed to be that guy, and he's not playing in Sacramento, although playing in Tampa Bay, Steinbrenner Field. That's a short little field too, but he's a right-hander, not a left-hander. Not sure how often he's going to take advantage of right field, right center.
Yeah, I would agree. And, I would say that's very accurate. Probably a little bit below where you thought. Okay, Ryan O'Hearn has been the Orioles MVP. How about saying that a few times fast and figuring that out? Orioles playing a little bit better, at least on offense. Hit 440 this past week, 2 home runs, 5 runs driven in. But, as we kind of look at the season, it's very surprising to have these conversations, George, if you think back to March, to say, boy, O'Hearn's going to look really good in another uniform. But, I mean, that's the truth, I think, as it pertains to Baltimore here. And then you have to ask yourself, would O'Hearn, George, even play every day on another team? I'm not sure. Maybe as DH or platoon a little bit. But you can't really, I guess, worry about that now. A month from now, it'll be a serious conversation.
Yeah, listen, I like O'Hearn, but you're right. He'd probably be a platoon DH with somebody. The right side of the platoon, right? He's a lefty, so he'll be face all the right-handers here. He's batting .335, right? 9 home runs, 21 ribbies. Once again, 3 stolen bases, but had a nice season for Baltimore. The Orioles are starting to hit a little bit, right? And what's going to be interesting here is I do think he gets traded by the deadline, but they're also going to get back some of their injured players, right? Kauser, Westberg, So what happens here once they do? That was always a problem. They had too many guys from 2 less slots, so we'll see what's going to happen. But he's had a nice start to the season, which is good because maybe the Orioles can get something for him. But we're not talking a major player. He's not going to be back a top prospect. But and by the way, the last thing Baltimore needs is more top prospects anyway. They need these prospects to hit, to play well here, and they need pitching.
Agreed. All right. Now, how about a young prospect that you want to keep for the next 5-10 years? That's easy. In Washington, it is James Wood. I believe he homered again yesterday. 304, 4 home runs, 10 runs driven in, 2 stolen bases. I think, George, I don't know. I think Washington's going to hang around this year, man. Like, they got a lot of nice young players here. I think that they're probably going to finish around 500, and then I would hope they would take a big step next year because it does feel like they are right now aimed to win. And if I'm not mistaken, doesn't Washington have the number 1 overall pick in the draft too? I mean, that is bananas. That's crazy.
Yeah. James Wood's been, I've said him several times, love James Wood. All right. His home run prop was 17.5 this year. I smoked that hard. We talked about it all in March here about how he would do that by mistake. Right? The man hits home runs by mistake. He said he's sort of a left-handed Aaron Judge as far as how strong this man is. So, yeah, he's going to be a star. I don't think there's any doubt he's going to be a star there. And he can run, too, by the way. He got a little bit of speed. So they have someone to build around here. And you got Dylan Cruz. You got C.J. Abrams. They do have the makings of a really good offense here. But you're right. You got to supplement that. All right, Mackenzie Gore. Okay, you got a nice starting pitcher there, but you got to keep adding to it. And I think Washington could be there. They're 27-30 now. I guess you're going to go. Are they going to hang around? Okay, but I do think as the second half of the season rolls along here, they probably play a little worse and they fall out of it here. But that's fine. It doesn't matter. They weren't supposed to make the playoffs, and maybe you shouldn't make the playoffs. You get the lower draft pick again, and you keep going at it here. I like the direction they're heading. I think their future is certainly brighter than some other teams.
Yeah, I think they're going to be in it. I think they're going to be a few games under and right there in the second half. We see a lot of this in the past, and surprise teams who are about 500 or better come on at the end. Would not surprise me at all to see Washington in that mix for the wild card. All right, let's go to down. We hit on Mookie Betts a little bit earlier in the show, and George made a really good point. I don't know how you can have him act with a fractured toe. It looks like he could either be in the lineup playing hurt or miss some time. But I mean, what are the Dodgers thinking? Just let the guy sit for a month. Doesn't matter. The dreaded vote of confidence, George, for Willie Adames and the Giants from Buster Posey this week, their president. I mean, the Giants threw a lot of money at this guy, George. 143 this past week. He's having a tough year.
It's funny when you said that the vote of confidence from Buster Posey. I'm like, well, what? But I'm like, oh yeah, it's right. He's not playing anymore. He's in the front office. So it's just a weird statement. Buster Posey gives a play. It's just a weird statement.
He's the president.
Yeah, and it's the right statement. It took me a while, a second for my brain to. Oh, yeah, Buster Posey, no longer the all-star catcher. He's now in the front office. Doesn't seem like he's been gone that long to have that kind of job is really what I'm going with that. So it's just weird to me. Listen, I'm not surprised by this. I'm not going to take a little adjustment there. San Fran's not the homer haven that Milwaukee was here. I think he'll figure it out, but I don't know if he's ever going to be that guy that, he was a really good fantasy player for us in Milwaukee. I don't know if he's ever going to be that. In San Fran, and I would not have paid him that much money, but hey, they needed somebody. It was almost like he was the runner-up. Like San Fran was always trying to get that big-name player, Aaron Judge, right? They tried for Soto as well. Ohtani, and they were always coming up. Correa, well, might have got lucky there, and they would always come up second place, third place. So I think Adames was sort of that. Okay, we got somebody. Here we go.
I mean, the Giants just had all this money to give. They gave Jung Ho Lee money. Remember Soler a couple of years ago, too? It feels like it's just like somebody take our money. All right, somebody watch our show. We'll be right back.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, and saying basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to Fantasy Sports Today here on Sports Grid. For those of you who have watched us through the first third of the season, each and every week we pick one of our favorite aces of the week in fantasy baseball. So Sam, our producer, it takes exception to my choice this week, saying that there probably were better choices. But, this is where, Sam, he gets it, but, sort of maybe doesn't a little bit. So I have an obligation to come on the show and talk about players in Major League Baseball. A lot of them I don't see in person, right? It's just the truth. Now, when it comes to the Marlins or the teams that they're facing, yes. So sometimes I'll come on the show and say, I don't know, this guy looks done, or, maybe not take a shot at them, but just say, look, I think the player's not playing well. And I did that with Lance McCullers, George. Remember, we talked about last week, it could be over, I don't know, he doesn't look right. So this is my apology to Lance McCullers after this past week. He pitched 6 innings. He struck out 12. Sam, that's 2 digits. 1, 2, 1, 2. 3 earned runs and 1 walk. So, part of it is that too. I feel when I get something wrong the previous week, let me go ahead and make a correction. And obviously, George, at this point, Lance McCullers not done. And any thought that maybe he would just, go to the bullpen or something like that. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Ronel Blanco is having Tommy Johnny's out for the year. So that means McCullers is here to stay.
I think you would think Sam. Listen, we'll continue to throw Sam under the bus. Why not? You would think he would know that we also like to pick guys that we have things we can talk about that player. And McCullers is a really good talking story here because, he returned from the injury, right? And boy, folks, if you can only see what's going on behind the scenes here. And he's returned from injury. He's pitching well here, and he's probably available in a lot of fantasy leagues. All right. And now he's mentioned, he had 12 strikeouts, 6 innings. Sure, he got 3 earned runs here. And no, that's not a quality start. I don't care what they say, but it's 4.5 ERA, so it's not a good start. All right. Yeah, you're not a major league pitcher if you do that. But whatever. I digress. I think he's going to be somebody you want to pick up here for Houston, who hopefully will have a better second. It's always have to hit the ball a little more, get you some W's there. Like I said, if you look at it as a whole, it's just a regular starter, but he had double-digit strikeouts. But as far as Lance McCullers, it's good to see him return to pitching. It's been so long for him, and return to pitching effectively, which is what I think we're looking for. And by the way, he's getting better. He's at 20 strikeouts his last 2 starts. This might not to be a one-off thing either.
Remember when the Astros they had that run of World Series? Do you remember who else was in that rotation, George, at that time? Do you remember some of the names? I mean, two of them are easy.
I remember some of the names. I'm trying to figure out where you're going with this. Who?
No, I'm just asking.
Who's the name?
It was that long ago. It was a
Oh,
long time ago.
right.
Right.
Cole, Verlander, Valdez.
Who won the Cy Young,
Who
though,
else?
on that team? Do you remember? No.
Oh, what was it? No, it wasn't him. Wrong team. Oh no, maybe it was him. Oh, the guy he tortured the Yankees for a while. Dallas Keuchel.
Yes.
That the guy we're going
Dallas
with?
Keuchel.
Yeah,
Dallas.
he was.
I'm just going to sit here, Sam, for you in silence for the next 5 minutes, okay? Kevin
Might be the best
Gossman.
segment we've had all season.
It's not saying much. Kevin Gossman, George, is your ace of the week.
He is. He's on several of my teams here. And he had a great start here. And yeah, I was rooting for the complete game too. He has been up and down. Two great starts, one terrible start. One good, one. I mean, kind of guy sort of driving you crazy here, but he's been good, really good. Two of his last three starts here. Kevin Gossman used to be that ace, right? He used to be that guy. And you wonder if he can get it back. Lord knows the Blue Jays need him to get it back to go where they want to go here. So yeah, I thought he had a great start. I thought there were several other choices as well. I got yelled at for setting more than one, by the way. Just pick one. All right, could have been Carlos Rodon. I thought was great for the Yankees, who's better at once again another good start to the season here. But yeah, Gossman I thought deserved it. 8 innings, with 6 strikeouts, 1 hit. Great start by Kevin, especially in Toronto, which is a bandbox.
Yeah, Texas is just awful. It's a big disappointment for me. I mean, I didn't think they'd pitch at all. Meanwhile, they're pitching great. They can't hit. All right, Sam is weighing in with his ace of the week. It is Mackenzie Gore of the Washington Nationals at Seattle. Gore's great. We know this. 6 innings pitched, no earned runs, no walks, and 8 strikeouts. I think, George, if you could vote on like the Triple Crown, the Triple Crown of like in order who would win the Cy Young in the NL, I think if you did like top 3 bet, I think Gore would finish in the top 3.
He'd be Skeens is going to be there. Wheeler's going to be there, so he's better than everybody else. I'm going to take the field on that. I'm going to say no. He wouldn't be top 3.
All right, you take the field. I'll take a break. We'll be back with more fantasy sports today next.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it's taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, and saying basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to Fantasy Sports Today here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish along with George Kurtz. Superstars in fantasy have to make some decisions on maybe as the season goes on. George and I will talk about the seasons that they're having. We'll start off, George, with the $500 million man. Maybe it was even more than that. I don't remember. But Juan Soto, who, certainly has not produced in the way that a lot of folks thought he would with the New York Mets. There's so many different theories and reasoning for this. It's just a player just changing locations. Sometimes things like this happen. Everyone says his bat speed is down, or he'd rather be a Yankee. I don't know that I believe any of that stuff, but you're kind of betting on a great second half of the season, which is not impossible. But you have to believe, George, that that's going to happen if you're making a trade for Juan Soto.
Yeah, listen, I would have no problem acquiring Soto. I would if I was fantasy. I'll take the chance here, but I'm not paying full price. I'm not paying what was he, the fifth overall player or whatever. I'm not paying that ADP. But if I get 80 cents on the dollar, that's what it's going to cost me to acquire him. Yeah, I'll take a shot here. Now he was never going to put up the same numbers at Citi Field that he did at Yankee Stadium last year. And I don't. By the way, the Judge thing hitting behind him doesn't make much sense. Alonso's having a fantastic year, so I don't think that's the problem. I think you probably nailed it. And change of scenery, not always beneficial right away. It takes a little bit here, even though he's in the same state, same city there. But I would take my chances. Yeah, I would. But like I said, I'm not banking. What he had 41 home runs. I took the under on that this year. He was never going to hit that in Citi Field. Just wasn't.
Yeah.
And by the way, remember, San Diego, he wasn't all that great there. And once again, the change may have gotten him there. So I don't think we should be we should be surprised he's been this bad, but I do think he'll return closer to what we're used to with Juan Soto. I want him.
The Atlanta Braves lose A.J. Smith-Shawver. They still have a really good pitching staff. One of them is Spencer Schwellenbach. He's in there at 68 innings, 60 strikeouts. He's been really good for them, but there's not a ton of track record here, George, for like 150, 60 innings. I mean, I assume the Braves are going to stay in this, but I think it's fair to ask the question, if they fall out of it, what they do. Would they even pitch this guy beyond 130, 140 innings? I'm not really sure. But again, maybe I'm just getting ahead of it. I do think the Braves will get it going and finish their season 6-7 games over. Right now, it's not trending in that direction.
Yeah, assuming they believe that 30 to 40 innings each year bump, he's only going to go, but what you said, about 160, 165 at most here. So maybe they get cute and play the game, but they really can't get cute because they've fallen behind so much here. Now they just lost Shawver, as you said, so he's got to pitch for them. I like Schwellenbach, so once again, if someone's going to move him, I'm interested. I'm certainly interested here. I'm not breaking the bank and giving up whatever they want for him. If I had Soto, when I trade Soto with Schwellenbach, I believe in Soto, so probably not here. But it'd be somewhat interesting if Soto was sort of a package for Schwellenbach and friends. But I'm sort of bullish on Schwellenbach. I do believe it's where I'm going here. But your point about what's going to happen when he's at 140 innings, is he the same pitcher? Do they look to shut him down a little bit? It's a valid point and a valid worry.
All right, let's get to Corey Seager, who year after year continues to really produce at the shortstop position. One of the elite guys. George, I think it's fair to ask, though, are you getting a player that can stay healthy? I mean, it does. Seager is not 25 years old anymore. I mean, that's just the truth. And he's suffered a litany of injuries this season. His numbers are great when he plays, but that's the key.
I walk my dog every night, and doing it last night, and I don't know why, but Seager comes into my head. I'm like, boy, Dodgers had him too, but boy, did they make the right choice at not paying him, and it's for the reasons you mentioned here. He's one of those guys. He has a lot of abilities. Availability is not one of them. All right, he gets hurt a lot, and he's missing time over and over again. I mentioned this during draft time. I don't like drafting players like this. You can't draft multiple players like this because you're not getting anywhere near 162. Right? You're praying for 140, and with Seager's probably closer to 120. Unless I'm desperate here or I want to roll the dice, no, I'm not taking it because I don't think he's going to play 100 games from here on out. It's about what they have left. He's 75, 80, 90. I don't know. So no, Craig, I can't do this.
You were walking your dog when you thought of him?
Go figure. Listen, it's 10 o'clock at night.
What was happening? Like number one, number two?
She does. Listen, it's a dog. She does a lot of number ones, okay, all over the place. I have to stop 17 times in this walk so she can mark her territory. Yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it was number 2, it's not a good thought. All right, Brent Rooker of the A's, 12 home runs, 27 runs driven in. I suppose there's like a little, is there a disappointment with Rooker's season so far? I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe you thought he was going to go crazy and hit like 50 this year, but I would bet on a great second half. I kind of like this player.
Depends what you need. I do believe in Rooker. I think he's going to end up hitting 40 at the end of the year. I do think he's on pace for about 35. He's not that far off. And we know the weather's going to heat up in Sacramento, and that ball's going to fly out of there like a Super Bowl. All right, so yeah, I believe it. But what do you need? If you don't need power, he's worthless to you. Right? He's not going to help you in average or stolen base or anything like that. So if you don't need the power, then I'm not bothering you. But if you need the power, or if you're in a points league, absolutely, I want Rooker. I think he'll be better. It's not the same, better than what he's doing right now. And I think he ends the season 40-plus home runs.
All right, Paul Goldschmidt having a career season with the Yankees in terms of batting average. I mean, this is something that nobody could have seen coming. Is this right? It looks like a typo. 347 for Paul Goldschmidt? No, I know he's hit 30 before. I know he's driven in 100 before. And he's only got 5 home runs, but probably second half ends up hitting 15, ends up with 20. But George, 347 for Paul Goldschmidt? What gives?
Yeah, the Yankees didn't know this was coming. All right, they didn't know this was coming either. He's going to be this good. All right, is he going to hit that the rest of the year? I doubt it. But what was the thing with Goldschmidt coming in, right? We were wondering, okay, he was terrible for 75% of last year, but did sort of, he played better in, late August, September. So was this the true thing, the first 4 or 5 months of the season, or the last month and a half? Well, I guess it was the last month and a half here because he looks good. Looks good with the Yankees. It certainly helps that he's either hitting behind or in front of Judge, so that I'm sure that's doing it well. But he's crushing left-handers. I mean, crushing them. He may not be hitting home runs, but his batting average, his OPS is nuts against left-handed pitching there, which is what the Yankees were looking for here. So he's had a really good first third. Do I think he keeps it up? I think his average is going to come down. His home runs are going to go up. I think that's what's going to happen there. So I think he's going to be a useful player here for you at first base or corner infielder.
Yeah, and I think, George, when you look at it, year after year, batting average seems to be going down across the league. If you may remember, Luis Arias last year led the National League in hitting. I think was hitting over 300. So anybody that's hitting this high, I mean, you're taking that to the bank. Now, again, being sustainable, George, seems to be almost impossible. I mean, Goldschmidt has no track record whatsoever of being a 300 hitter. But I think people forget that these stats right now are banked. So in all likelihood, if you drafted him, your batting average for the season is a little bit better than you thought it would be.
Absolutely, right? You're taking that and run. But it's funny. If you drafted him, you weren't drafting him for average. You were probably drafting him for power, thinking, okay, he'll hit 20, to a low 25 maybe, and now you're getting sort of the reverse here. He's not stealing bases like he used to, but that's to be expected. He's older here, and the Yankees aren't a big running team anyway, so they're not going to have him just steal wildly. Plus, if Judge is on base, if Goldschmidt's on base and Judge is batting, he ain't running. Right? You're not giving up that out in front of Judge when he might hit a 2-run home run there. So, like I said, overall, it's been a very good signing for the Yankees here. They're going to have a decision to make at the end of the year. Do you, re-sign, keep him in pinstripes? Do you let him go here? Now that the Yankees have a young first baseman in the midst going to take the job, they do not. So it's either going to be Goldschmidt next year or some other veteran player coming along here. But for the Yankees, good move. It's working out well. He's a good fit in the organization, and he's been productive. He's a really good defensive player as well, which is also nice for the Yanks.
Yeah, they did very well with that acquisition. All right, let's take a quick timeout. Before we do, take out your phone and scan this QR code on your screen. It is the SportsGrid app, available for both iOS and Android. All kinds of news, notes, information, picks against the spread, and more on our shows as well. We'll be back with more FST after this.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, and saying basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, 2-start pitchers for the coming week in fantasy baseball. We got some streaming options to go with as well. George will have you covered on that. Let's start off with 2-start pitchers here, George. And we got a matchup coming next week for the Rays and Marlins in Tampa at Steinbrenner Field. But the Rays also have a matchup with a team that you would think on paper is not a good one. I mean, dare I say, these are two very fair matchups for Drew Rasmussen of the Tampa Bay Rays. He takes on the Rangers and the Marlins next week. Now, I understand Rasmussen generally is going to give way to the bullpen after 5 or 6 innings, but if the Rangers are just not going to hit at all, sign me up for these 2 starts.
I've had Rasmussen on my my main fantasy league twice so far this season. All right, and he, he's blah, and I moved on, and of course now he has a great week. All right, and he's pitching well again. And I need to. I have Shaver, so I need to make a replacement. All right, he'll go on the IL at some point today. And I'm really debating between Rasmussen and Paddock on Minnesota. And he's got Rasmussen's probably going to win out because of the 2-start week. So I'm probably going to go for it a third time here. And then I'll move on from him probably when Glasnow returns later on. But I do like him, Craig. So as much as I'm a little down on him because he's failed me twice so far this season, I do like the guy. I think there is more there to give. And I do wonder, is he starting to give it now? Are we starting to see the best of Rasmus, but he's only going to get better here? And by the way, pitching on the road, as you and I talked about earlier in the show before the Rays, we're going to have more road games now than home games, may not be a bad thing. As a Steinbrenner Field is not made for the Rays, it's made for the Yankees here. So, getting out of the short porch in right field could be a good thing here. So, if not for the 2-start week, I think I might go with Paddock here. But the fact that it is a 2-start week, and the Rays are playing better, by the way. They're playing much better ball. I'm going to go Rasmussen. Yeah, so I believe. Again.
Good start for Max Meyer of the Marlins as well coming up this week. I mean, I look, getting the Rockies is pretty much an automatic start. So he'll start Monday against them, Tampa Bay on Sunday. And as you know, George, Sunday pitchers are usually a good start. Teams are usually swinging the bats early and often. So I do like this one as well.
Not to mention, Sunday you might get a guy or two not in the starting lineup. It's a popular rest day here, especially for catchers. You had me at Rockies. Okay, so there's your joke there. He's starting against the Rockies. I'm putting in, I mentioned it earlier in the show too. I'm a big Sandy Alcantara fan. All right, big fan. I want to see him pitch well. He's on my main team, but I haven't started him in probably a month. And he's facing the Rockies this week. He's in my lineup. All right. If I can't put him in against Colorado, I can't put him in, right? He shouldn't be on my team here. Max Meyer, 2-start week, once against the Rockies. And we don't hate to start against Tampa Bay, by the way. I don't think he's playing, the Dodgers where you worry about getting lit up or something like that. So, yeah, Meyer, if he was available over Rasmussen, I would take him.
All right, now let's get to Luis Severino of the Athletics. Faces off with the Twins on Monday, the Orioles on Saturday. I mean, on paper, this would have been good, George, a couple of weeks ago. The A's are not winning at all. I don't know how I can pull the trigger here.
The A's have imploded. Severino's not pitching well. Now, you said who they're playing here. I don't know where, but it doesn't matter. They could be playing on Mars. This is a no for me. Can't do it. I liked when the A's signed Severino. I thought it was okay. Well, they're trying here. Going to go good, solid pitcher there, but he was good for a little bit, and now it hasn't worked out. I think at some point when we talk about him again on this show, which we will in this segment eventually, maybe the next time he has 2 starts, it could be a yes. They're playing better. He's pitching better. But right now it's a no here. I said the A's, these games at Toronto, like, oh, my God, can anybody get anybody out from that A's staff here? No, I'm not banking on him again. Even though Minnesota's a so-so offense. Baltimore, you said they're hitting better, but still so-so. I'm not taking a chance on that. I'll pass.
All right, Lance McCullers, who we just talked about, ironically, having that great start last week, gets the Pirates this week on Tuesday in Pittsburgh, and then Cleveland on Sunday, George. Look, I mean, there was a lot to like last week, but can he do it again in a consecutive week is the question.
Well, that might be the question, but I'll take my chances on it. You're not going to get 2 better starts. All right, Pittsburgh can't hit, and Cleveland can't do much more either. Right? These are 2 very poor offenses, to put it nicely here. So yeah, I'm starting to get on board the McCullers train. All right, like we showed you, he's had 20 strikeouts his last 2 starts, so at the very least, he's going to strike some guys out. And I don't think he's going to get lit up in either game here, so he should be able to protect your ratios. Does he go deep enough in the games, or does the Houston offense score enough to get you a W? All right, we'll see what happens here. But yeah, I think once again, I'm going to be a professor positive here. I'm going to be in on McCullers as well.
All right, so the Chicago White Sox have a 2-start week for their best pitcher, Shane Smith, against Detroit and Kansas City. Shane Smith with an ERA, George, of 2.68 and 1 win this season. That is crazy. 1 win the entire year. We've been going on 2 months of baseball. This guy's ERA is fantastic. What does he got to do to get a win?
Once again, it depends on what kind of league you play in. If you need wins, points like he's probably can't help because you're not going to get the W. All right, if you're in a rotisserie, he's going to help your ratio. He's going to strike some batters out. You could certainly do worse. You could certainly do worse than Shane Smith here. I joked about the no here because I need wins, so I can't go. He's just not going to do it for me, even though I think he'll pitch fine. Although the matchups aren't great, but they're not terrible either here. But if you're in a quality start league, this is a yes, right? I think you'll get at least 1 QS. So I can see myself going for it there. But if you're in your traditional leagues, probably going to pass here. It's nothing on him. It's not about him. I like the pitcher here. It's all about the team around him. Divas isn't very good on that team either, by the way. But the offense is just, it's atrocious. And he can get another quality start or pitch even much better than a quality start and can't get a W.
No, definitely the case. All right, let's do this. Let's take a quick time out here. George will wrap up hour 1 for us, and then we'll be back for hour number 2. By the way, you could download the SportsGrid app. For those of you who are getting ready for tonight's big game in the Eastern Conference Finals, some opinions and picks against the spread between the New York Knicks and Indiana Pacers. Also, don't forget, Stanley Cup Finals begin next week. For the very latest on all of those games and a whole lot more, download the SportsGrid app. It's available for iOS and Android just by scanning that with your phone. That's the QR code. We'll be back with more fantasy sports today when we come back after this.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, and saying basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back, Fantasy Sports Today. He's Craig Mish. I'm George Kurtz. So we're getting you ready for the Fantasy Week 11. All right. It's more decision times now, right? It's not the beginning of the year anymore. The first third of the season is done here. Most teams have played at least 54 games. So we start to take things. I don't want to say we didn't take the first 2 months seriously, but we're taking it more seriously now. We need to make some moves here. Maybe you're looking for streaming options, right? Something I do in a lot of my leagues. You need to move up here. You're looking for the best. Who's available and who are they facing? Can I get away with a so-so guy who's available here against a decent offense, but not a great offense? So we're playing that game here. First guy on our list is going to be Richard Fitz, Boston Red Sox here. Probably only in the starting rotation for the Red Sox because of injuries, right? Tanner Houck is still out there. So we'll see if he remains in there once these guys come back. Cutter Crawford is banged up as well. He has the Angels this week. Now, I got to tell you, 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, this is a definite yes for me. All right, Angels weren't really hitting here. This has nothing to do with Mike Trout coming back last night, by the way. I'm glad Mike Trout is back. Good to see him back here. But the Angels have been tearing the cover off the ball even without Trout. So this is more of a, okay, can I get away with this? Fitz has pitched really well when given a chance. His last start against Milwaukee, good hitter's ballpark. He actually shut them down. No earned runs there. Only 3 innings here. So he's not going to go deep into the game. That's the only thing you have to worry about here. I think you have to be somewhat desperate for him to put him in there because, like I said, I don't think you're going to get many. What are you hoping for? 5 innings? And he has a good start here. So this is probably a no for me. I think you'll have better options you can get to on your waiver wire here. Our next guy. This is sort of the hot guy that everyone's talking about now. That's Noah Cameron of the Kansas City Royals, left-hander. Going to face St. Louis this week, which we don't like anyway. It's in St. Louis, so that's better. It's not the greatest hitter's ballpark on the planet. But Noah Cameron, he's getting a lot of pub now. He's pitched very well in his opportunities. This is not a flamethrower, all right? He actually has to pitch. His fastball is about 92, 93, so he has to pitch, up, down, in, out, change speeds here. But he's doing very well right now. Might the league catch up to him eventually when they get more film on him? Sure. But for now, I mentioned earlier in the show that I need a pitcher this week, and Rasmussen was on my list, Paddock's on my list, Cameron's on my list as well. Because I do I'm kind of interested in do we have something here? But I also think this is somebody where we ride it while it's working. It's working now, fine. But you give it a couple of weeks, we may not want nothing to do with them anymore, and we're moving on here. Listen, someone I definitely don't want anything to do with is Taijuan Walker of the of the Philadelphia Phillies. There's many reasons here. All right, he's not pitching very well here. His home ballpark is Philadelphia, which is a bandbox, and he's pitching in Toronto this week, which is a bigger bandbox than Philadelphia. And Toronto's becoming this team where when they're on the road, all right, take the unders, all right, start your pitchers there because they're not hitting. When they're at home, they're scoring. All right, they moved those fences in a couple of years ago, which made no sense to me. Like Guerrero needs help hitting home runs. So, no, I'm not starting Taiwan Walker. I can't do it. I said I want nothing to do with them. Let them be someone else's problem. I just think you have better options this week in 10 and even 12-team leagues. You can do better here. 14, 16, hey, got to do what you got to do there. Our last guy, Adrian Hauser of the Chicago White Sox. And that's probably enough said there. I just mentioned with Craig here that I'm probably not starting Smith. Who's going to be their all-star? I assume he's going to be their all-star representative here, and he's got a 2-point-something ERA. But I'm probably not starting him because it just eliminates what I can do. I probably can't get a W. It's one of 4 categories I'm not going to get from the pitcher. Obviously, it's not going to get a save. I don't know what I'm going to get for Hauser. It's, going up against Kansas City, it's at home in a ballpark that, once again, when the weather heats up, the ball's going to fly out of there. Kansas City, their offense probably hasn't been as good as we have liked. Right, they struggled a little bit here, but we're still talking a good, solid offense here. So I'm not going to take that chance to go up against them. So like I said, I'm more bullish on the top 2 guys we talked about. All right, I said Cameron is a guy sneaky, just sneaky. If it's, I might take a chance of. I just don't think he's going to go deep into the game. But the last 2, Walker and Hauser, no thanks. Good definition of let him be someone else's problem. All right, I don't need this aggravation of the streaming guys thought I got blowing up my team, especially by the way if you're in a head-to-head league. We're also great. I put a streamer in, he's destroyed my average, destroyed my whip, and now I lost 2 categories. I'm not going through that. So, like I said, streaming can be tough. There are guys out there. If you look deep, you can always find guys. Cameron is the guy that of these 4 that I really like. I said, really like it, especially in deeper leagues. He's the guy I'm going to take a shot on this week. All right, so this has been Fantasy Sports Today. First hour is done. I'll let Craig come back next hour, maybe. I'll let Craig Albright at the bottom of the hour as well. Fantasy Sports Today. He's Craig Mish. I'm George Kurtz. We'll be back after this.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interested in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, and saying basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.